This is NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. NBA free agency tipping off on Thursday, so there's so much to get to on today's show, including the latest with Jalen Brunson. All signs point to him leaving Dallas to go to the New York Knicks. The Knicks have had an infatuation with Jalen Brunson over the last couple of months, and it has gotten to the point where it looks like a guarantee that Brunson is going to go from being Luka Doncic's sidekick to the main man in New York as that momentum continues to build. So you take a look at Brunson's ties with the New York Knicks, and really, there's so much to unpack here. He's from New Brunswick, New Jersey. Leon Rose's first client was his dad, Rick Brunson, after he played his college ball at Temple University under the legendary John Chaney. Brunson's current agent is Leon Rose's son, and Leon Rose heading basketball operations for the New York Knicks right now, and he's been doing that over the last couple of years, and he's trying to put this franchise in a good spot where they can get back to consistent winning basketball, and they think that Brunson can be the lead guy. Draft night trade, they made that to free up money, which included Kemba Walker, and this is really the final outcome of all the transaction that had happened, because on Tuesday, it was Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks getting traded to the Detroit Pistons to further clear up money in order to pave open an opportunity for Jalen Brunson to land a near max contract with the Knicks in free agency. I'll get to my thoughts on the deal that he might get, but first, here's the final outcome of everything that the Knicks have done in order to free up some dough to give to Jalen Brunson, one of the young ascending players in this league, who without Luka looked like a star, especially in the playoffs when he led the Mavericks in scoring and looks to be a very legitimate point guard. The big question, can he be that superstar like he's going to be paid to be? So the Knicks, in turn, with the free agency looming tomorrow, the draft night trade, as well as what they did to deal away Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks, they receive a first-round pick in 2023 from Detroit as well as Washington, a first-rounder in 2025 from Milwaukee, and in turn cleared up a lot of money, $30 million in cap space. The Knicks shipped out pick number 11, which ended up being Jalen Duren, Alec Burks, Kemba Walker, Nerlens Noel, and 6 future second-round picks. Now, here's the deal with Jalen Brunson and all of this contract chatter. Many are saying that 4 years, $110 million for Jalen Brunson is an overpay. But I want to pose this question for you. Is it an overpay if Jalen Brunson throughout his Knicks career averages 20 points per game, let's say 8 dimes, he shoots 50% from the floor and 37% from beyond the arc, for a guy who's ascending, who continues to get better year in, year out, is a big competitor and has done the necessary things to grow his offensive and defensive arsenal? He's been a culture builder at the NBA level and at Villanova, where he was the Naismith College Player of the Year and won a national championship at Nova, and has been always known to be a winner and a leader. You add that on top of the fact that you look at the highest paid point guards in 2022, and I don't think that Jalen Brunson making around $30 million is an overpay when you stack him up against some of these other point guards. Of course, Steph Curry is in a different category. John Wall, $47 million after he elected to opt out of his deal with Houston and sign with the Clippers in free agency. At least all signs point to that. Russell Westbrook's making $47 million per year. Dame at $42.5. Kyrie at nearly $37, followed by Trae Young, Luka. Ben Simmons hasn't played basketball in more than a year. Jamal Murray coming off the torn ACL, and D'Angelo Russell at $31 million a year. You continue to look further at this list, and this is where Jalen Brunson enters the equation, because he's going to have an average annual value of about $30 million, which puts him in line with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'd rather pay Jalen Brunson that money as compared to other players on this list. So it sounds like a lot, but also the NBA salary cap is increasing about $10 million, so now the Knicks have further money on the cap to pay some other players on the team to surround Jalen Brunson with the necessary pieces, and I don't think that the Knicks are going to be a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. I still think they're going to be in the middle of the pack, but by bringing in Brunson, can you then lure other free agents in future years to get the Knicks back to solid contention? I like Brunson. It was an absolute crime that he was a second-round pick, considering what he did for Jay Wright at Villanova. He had all the necessary attributes to become a very good player over time, and he's about a borderline all-star. And right now, the going rate for all-star caliber players at the point guard position is about $30 million per year. So let me ask you this. Your one-word reaction to describe the Knicks' pursuit and infatuation with Jalen Brunson, let me know in the comment section right now. From Brunson, an ascending player, to an already solidified star quality player in Bradley Beal. He's widely expected, according to reports, to decline his player option to resign with the Washington Wizards. The deal could be in the range of somewhere around $5 million, which is the max, and anywhere between $240 and $250 million. My read on this situation right here, Bradley Beal knows one team throughout his career since getting drafted out of Florida, some success with John Wall, but the future of the Wizards is bleak, and the past for the Wizards has been bleak. So my read on this for Beal, get the bag, secure all of the money, and then if things don't work out down the road, it's the player empowerment era, folks. You can force a trade. Now, the Wizards did do a deal and made a trade with the Denver Nuggets to try to give Bradley Beal some nice surrounding pieces. On their way from the Mile High City to our nation's capital is going to be Will Barton and Monte Morris. Pretty good, solid rotational offensive pieces. And the Nuggets receive a pretty solid piece to try to bulk up that defense around the Joker in KCP and Ish Smith, who I think is a perfectly okay backup point guard. With Bradley Beal, I want you to embrace debate in the comment section right now, because this has been at the center of my mind for a little while. How good is Bradley Beal, and where does he stack up among the great players in the NBA? I think he's like top 30. Is that disrespectful? Let me know. You have an opportunity to voice your opinions. Bradley Beal is a top blank player. Fill in the blank right now. And with all of that, we now have breaking news. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, there were a lot of rumblings about Dejounte Murray potentially getting traded by the San Antonio Spurs to the Atlanta Hawks to make a backcourt of Trae Young and Dejounte Murray, the future backcourt in the ATL. Here are the official trade details. We'll react to this further momentarily. The Hawks receive Dejounte Murray coming off an all-star season. We'll take a look at the numbers coming up here in just a second. And the Spurs receive a pretty solid package. Danilo Gallinari, a very good shooter and an international player who's played in a bunch of big games, and we know that the San Antonio Spurs love international guys, and they also receive 3 first-round picks in exchange for Dejounte Murray. So it is a hefty price that the Atlanta Hawks are paying for a really good player. Is he worth the 3 first-round picks? Well, we'll see what happens with Atlanta moving forward. Again, we're going to react to this trade further coming up here in just a second, but first, this is why you subscribe. The trade was made official, and we're reacting to it right away. NBA free agency coverage tips off on Thursday. Myself and Harrison Graham, we will be talking about every single transaction, every single signing, and when trade news comes across the wire, we'll react to it live as well. You don't want to miss our coverage, the most watched NBA free agency coverage on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Just hit that red subscribe button down below. Now, I certainly do have some questions about how Dejounte Murray fits in this backcourt with Trae Young. Both are really good young ascending players. Both are coming off all-star seasons, and both are very quality offensive threats. I don't think it makes the Hawks a better defensive team, which are where my concerns certainly stand with this backcourt, especially after watching Trae Young the last couple of years. But how does this backcourt work on both ends of the floor? You take a look at what Trae Young was able to do a year ago, a career season for him, and I think it was somewhat overshadowed by all of the other great performances that we saw last year by individual players across the NBA. The talent pool in this league right now is filthy and ridiculous, but for Ice Trae, 28 points per game, nearly 10 dimes per night, and the shooting splits, given the field goal attempts at north of 20, really, really good. 46% from the floor and 38% from downtown. Now, Dejounte Murray is not the three-point shooter that Trae Young is. He's also not willing to chuck it from deep like Trae Young is. But as a guy who can put the ball on the floor, remind you a little bit of a Ja Morant type of style. A lot of people don't realize how good he was playing for San Antonio. He was excellent. 21 points per game, has really good vision, can really create off the bounce and score at all 3 levels. You look at the three-point numbers, below 33% from long range, but 50% on his twos on 18 field goal attempts per night. So the offense is going to run primarily through Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. What's also of note here, as of now, John Collins not featured in the trade. It's Danilo Gallinari. So do they move forward with a young core of these 2 players as well as John Collins? So I want to get your thoughts on this trade and this backcourt duo in the ATL. Do Murray and Trae work together? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. I want to hear all of your responses in the comment section right now. As for the latest on Miles Bridges, another one of the big-name free agents who did a great job of getting in the lab last offseason and dramatically improving his offensive game, especially his three-point stroke. This coming from Bleacher Report. Charlotte has also signaled it will match any offer for Miles Bridges, so any interested suitor would be incentivized to throw the 24-year-old forward his 4-year max deal in order to force the Hornets' hand. If an offer sheet never comes, Charlotte will be in a pretty position to bring Bridges back under $30 million annually. So that's the latest on Bridges. Here's the latest on DeAndre Ayton, also from Bleacher Report, With Phoenix, there's far less belief that the Suns will ultimately match whatever offer Ayton can draw. The relationships between him and Phoenix's other primary actors, most notably head coach Monty Williams, point guard Chris Paul, seem untenable for an Ayton return, but there aren't many looming possibilities for him to find the maximum contract he is said to desire. And I've said this for a long time. I think it became apparent that relationship between Ayton and Phoenix had grew to a point where it was very contentious, and I just don't see a scenario in which he does come back to the Suns, although they are in win-now mode with some of the other expensive contracts on this roster, and because of that, maybe he does come back and they're able to reconcile their differences. So if you're excited for NBA free agency, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. And how do you not like the NBA offseason and free agency? Because this trade just happened, and this sends some pretty big messages and waves across the NBA. This is a monumental deal here that involves an all-star player in Dejounte Murray going to Atlanta to team up with another all-star in Trae Young, and the Spurs get 3 first-round picks, which I actually think is a pretty good overhaul. This signals to me also, now that I think about it, San Antonio maybe pushing forward with a rebuild. How long does Greg Popovich last? A lot of questions for that franchise. Danilo Gallinari, a very good shooter, also going to San Antonio.